Hi.
Hi.
I'm Anna. I'm the assistant director on In the Nighttime Before the Sun Rises.
And I wasn't sure if I was saying hi to you or to the people out there then. I was saying hi to you, which is weird because I've been with you all day. And I'm Ben. I'm directing the play In the Nighttime Before the Sun Rises at the Gate.
Which is by Nina Siegel.
Siegel. Yeah, I was saying Seagal.
I was saying Seagal and people thought Stephen... They were like, is she a relation to Stephen Seagal?
Yeah, I said it wrong to her on Skype many times in many meetings, and I met someone who knows her, and I was like, oh no, you're joking. So Nina Siegel, yeah, who isn't here because she's in New York, where she lives. So yeah, and we're in the rehearsal room.
Yeah, we just finished nearly the end of week 2 of rehearsals.
Gosh, is that right? Yeah. So almost halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh. Okay, right. Well, we ought to know something about this project then.
Yeah. So, do you want to talk a bit about what kind of drew you to play?
Yeah, just the money really. I just wanted to...
Just that cash money.
Yeah, just the money. No, I was, I suppose I'd probably been trying to get a job at the Gate for ages and bugging Chris and asking him for a job. And then he contacted me, or Claire contacted me with this play and thought maybe you might be kind of interested in this play, which is really lovely and really flattering, obviously really nice. And you sort of think, oh God, surely not. And then you read it and I was just like, well, yes, the answer's obviously yes, because it's terrific. And then you have to sort of persuade them that you're the right guy for it and stuff like that. And I think the first thing that, the two things I suppose that drew me to it and made me want to do it were that as a piece of writing in terms of its formal ambition and formal innovation and what it's trying to do with the form, and not form in the sense of like, it's not formally bizarre or bonkers, it's not kind of, written in backwards language, or it's not kind of like, impenetrable, but just in terms of the way Nina uses language and the way Nina explores and expresses things, and yes, the way she uses the idea of character and the way she uses the themes she's interested in, the way she uses her form to explore the themes, and the way in which the language really flies. And it's a play that is really, that's a terrible word, but sort of poetic or poetical in the purest sense. So that it sort of really has a care and a concern for how language functions, and an exuberance that you don't see very often in new plays. You do, but it's in the last sort of 10, 15 years in this country, they haven't been necessarily the mainstream of new writing, and it was just unputdownable, as they say. And it captures you and thrills you kind of line by line. She's a genuinely thrilling line by line writer, a genuinely experimental writer, and that was really exciting. And the fact that the Gate were wanting to take a risk on a play that is so thrilling and so exciting was really heartening, I guess. And then like kind of what it's about, I suppose, was something that shined. And again, I think the reason why I think it's a really good play is because what it's about and what it's like are intimately connected. And I think that's the sort of when the form is informing what it's about, and when what it's about is informing the form of it, then that's when you run to a winner, really. And I don't have children myself, but I'm of an age when I have thought very deeply and profoundly about what it would be like to have children, and myself and my partner have thought very deeply and profoundly about how that would affect our lives and the implications of it. And we live in a time, and we live in a cultural and socio-cultural position in sort of loosely the sort of wealthy West, where having a child and having a baby has become something that you really think about, and once you start investigating the implications of it, it's like endless, really, because it becomes this kind of, I don't know what the phrase is, but it becomes this kind of lightning rod or something for all these sort of neuroses and fears and considerations and stuff about your own life. And so, yeah, just liked it is the answer. What drew you to the project, Anna?
It was kind of, it's about all the things I'm currently obsessed with, like the end of the world, and like all the bad stuff that we perpetrate in the world crashing into where we live.
Well, I think there's a sense in which Nina is, you read the play and it reminded me of writing wasn't from the theatre. It reminded me of a lot of modern novels and a lot of poetry and the kind of writing that is, I don't know, non-fiction as well in the modern age. The writing, like you say, the concern that I think we all have about the impact we're having on the world, and about one of the themes of the play is the interconnectedness of the world we live in, and whether what we do has an effect on what happens elsewhere in the world, whether things elsewhere in the world may have an effect on us, on our children, on our children's future, whether what we do has an effect on other people's children's future. And that's one of the things that the play really explores. And I think, something that is, like you say, I don't think it's just you who's obsessed with it. I think it's very current, isn't it, in the culture, as they say.
So you talked about it being like a lightning rod.
Yeah,
and it's
I don't know
kind
if that was
of
the right...
It's kind of like a lightning rod for them in the play. So
okay, yeah, that's good.
Can you talk about that a bit more?
What do you mean, like the baby as a lightning rod?
How they go from the baby to like the entire world, the universe,
time. Yeah, I suppose in a way you've got to come and see it and have a look and see. But yeah, that's what Nina is interested in. I think it's about how something in your own life can, if possible, if you let it, allow you to spin and pull back, like in a movie where the camera would just zoom back. It's a classic thing they do in movies, isn't it? And I can see why that's a trope that is really successful in the culture, because it's such a thrilling idea that you kind of pull back and you see everything. And I think in this play it's a combination of people seeing things. They have a baby and they can't stop the baby crying, and that it's a combination of them uncovering things that they knew were there all along, I think, and they just hadn't had the bravery or the clear-sightedness to name or to be honest about. And I don't know, and then it's also, isn't it also the realisation of things that they learn things that they didn't know before, and they start to sort of think about the world in ways that they haven't ever thought about the world before, and then they realise how naive they've been, how selfish they've been, possibly. And yeah, the play, I realise that people won't have seen the play when they listen to this, so it can seem quite obscure and strange what we're talking about. But the play is interested both in the personal and the domestic, and the genuine sense of when you have a baby, how that changes how your life looks, how you think about your partner, how your partner thinks about you, how you think about other people in the world, other people in the street, other people in your community. And it's also interested in how you feel about the rest of the world, which is ultimately as well coming back to how you think about yourself and your soul, and how you've lived your life and how you're going to live the rest of it, I suppose.
Yeah, someone said, I can't remember who said in rehearsals today, someone was like, they go from that attitude where you're like, well, that's happening, but that's not my problem, to like, everything is my problem.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's my fear about having children is that every single second of my waking life will be spent worrying about something bashing into its head. And I just can't imagine how I'd get out of bed in the morning. That I'd just be so freaked out. And I'd certainly, that, I don't know if I'm showing my lack of, it's a naive approach, really, a naive way of thinking. But, when you see parents, we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? You see parents, like, throwing their kids around in an incredibly, like, relaxed way. And it's just like it's a bag of potatoes, and it's so, just full of awe and envy and admiration for it, because it's like, wow, you're not scared. And there's something really profound about the continuation of the human race, and that we're more robust. Because I think that's one of the things that the play's interested in, is like, how robust are we? Are we more robust than we think, or are we more fragile than we think? Which is it? And that sort of stuff, really, I think.
And how's it been going?
How's
the rehearsals going?
Well,
I've been here, so I know.
Yeah, but you go, sometimes you're not here, and then, you go off and do other exciting things, and that's when we all freak out, because you're the one with all the clever answers. It's been going well, I think. What do you reckon? It's been going well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think that you always every time you do one of these, every time you do a show, for me, I haven't done that many shows, that's probably why, but they're always completely different and completely their own thing, and they're completely and utterly, especially with this, because it's a brand new play, so there is no sense in which this play has ever, it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't exist yet, and so you're just building something from the ground up. And so it's really hard to know. I'm always suspicious. One day, touch wood, if I manage to direct lots of plays in my life or whatever, then you might be able to go, that was a good one, this one's okay, week 2, we should be about here. But I find it really hard to answer those questions, because everything is completely unique. Having said that, it's not a disaster. No, it's good. It's
the room looks like a disaster.
Yeah, the room looks like, well, that's good. The room, it looks like
trash.
If you can only see this, it looks trashed in a very cool, sort of quite a European aesthetic. way. It does look completely messy, which is good because it looks like you're doing some work.
Yeah, it's full of like baby toys and
we should do a bit of that. It's full of baby
crap.
toys and footballs and lamps and a broken cot and stuff and just mess and debris. One of the things that the play is really interested in, I think, is the amount of stuff that humans have created in the world, the amount of stuff we've made that isn't going anywhere. And myself and Georgia, who's designed the play, went to Toys R Us just before Christmas, which is a bad idea. Regardless of where you are in life, just don't go to Toys R Us in Peckham just before Christmas because it's very, very busy. And it's just chock full of plastic. And I don't say this in a kind of judgmental way. When I have children, I'll be buying them absolutely bloody well everything that there possibly is so that they're happy. And but one of the things that Nina's interested in, I think, in the play is, and therefore one of the things that we've populated this room, and maybe the show, who knows, with, is just the sort of slightly inane and quite sinister things that we give to children to try and calm them down. And there's a whole raft of things these days that, like, the sort of brilliant, I don't know, like a Baudrillardian thing. I don't know if that'll make the final mix. I don't even know if it is Baudrillard, but like a fake TV remote that you give to a child, presumably because it's playing with the real TV remote. So you give it a pretend TV remote. It's just like the simulacrum. It's remarkable. Like, it's kind of bizarre. We sort of create all these fake plastic things for our children to play with. So there's a lot of them, a lot of stuff broken. It's a play about, I think ultimately it's probably a play about getting close to chaos and getting close to giving up and just pulling back from the brink. And that feels, to me, inherently theatrical and inherently something that theatre is a good place for. Because theatre is a place where you can, if something breaks, if something's a mess in front of you, it's real, you can tell. It's kind of... So it's been going well. I think we've got two really, really... I'm very lucky. We've got two very, 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 very proficient and very brilliant and very honest and very excellent actors who are, I think, happy to be doing it and really engaging with it. It's quite hard, isn't it, sometimes? And it's a complicated play. And it's getting inside the brain of someone who is really interesting and trying to kind of, we had a week with Nina here and it was really, really lovely, and then she's gone and now we're like, oh God, how do we get inside, and for them trying to get inside her brain is just a joyous process, I think. And so, it seems to be going well.
And do you have like an approach or like...
I don't know, an approach, like a process?
Yeah, or has that kind of changed as you went along?
I don't think I do, really. I don't know. I think it's... When I do, like I say, I've not done many of these things like theatre projects, and a lot of them have been very different from each other in terms of what they're like and how they've come about and how they've been born. So I think for me, I don't really have... One has things that, like, you try... I think you develop... I don't know what you think about this. You develop a kind of... I sort of know a little bit what I'm good at and if my brain is working well, I can tell, do you know what I mean? So I just try and allow my brain to be working well, if you know what I mean, and try and remain open and just asking the right questions. But I think that I'm not someone, and there's lots of people who make theatre who would be the opposite of this, and they're often people I respect hugely and think are very, very brilliant in their work. But I'm not someone who really has a way to do it. And maybe that'll change, I don't know, except for just ask lots of questions and try and encourage. This one, it feels to me, is very, very... is asking a lot of our actors in terms of their creativity and in terms of their invention and stuff. So I think you're just trying to encourage them to ask as many questions as they can and to continually dig into what it all means, into what they're doing while they're here, and into what it could be. Because it is a kind of... And we've created a design and a space that is quite... It's a playground, really, and I think it's just to build this room that this play takes place in and just destroy it. And so the process, I think, is only really asking the right questions, trying to encourage people to be as brave as they can be and to be as silly as they can be, and to just try and... You want everyone to have left thinking that they've put everything into it, because if they haven't, then the bit that the thing that you didn't say, you're very clever, Anna's very clever, for the record, and solved a key bit of the play today. She's doing a cut this motion with her hands, and maybe we'll never hear this. But you shouldn't, because, I think that's what you have to try and encourage, because it might well be that thing you don't say because you don't want to, or because you feel a bit inhibited, or whatever, is the thing that makes it really, really good. Do you know what I mean? And especially with actors, you don't want them to ever, it seems a bit cruel, but you don't want them to ever go away without having given as much as they possibly can, because that might have been the bit that makes it really, really good. Do you know what I mean? And Nina has been really inspiring to work with in that respect, because it's her first play, it's her first fully performed play, and she's been so giving and so thrilled and inspired and excited to create material that when we've discussed the play and when we've worked on the play and when we've done something, she's gone away and just given more. And so the play has that, I think anyway, the play has that joyous fullness to it that hopefully will communicate, who knows?
And when people come to see it, can you talk a bit about what it'll be like, what they'll experience?
I don't know, without spoilers.
I mean, if people come to
come to see
it.
If people come to see it, yeah, and when they all come, well, they won't be able to get a ticket now. I think it will be, I don't know, the aims for it are to make a piece of work that, it's like a mini epic, this play, I think. Like it's a play that is a play which very consciously moves from being a play about two people in a domestic setting in a world that is quite self-contained, in a world that they feel in control of, through having this baby and trying to deal with this baby, they encounter a much, much bigger and much scarier and much more complicated and complex world. So I think what we're trying to do with the show, and hopefully what we will do, is take people with us on that journey, and that journey it's a play that has a huge variety in it of tone, and I would hope that is because the play spans, roughly speaking, the night of one couple's life when they're trying to put the baby to sleep, although it spins off into a much more loose and wild and ambitious time frame in a way. But that night, and one of our actors is a father of two young children, and everyone I know who speaks about that experience knows that experience contains within it joy, hatred, fear, desperation, horniness, they go through everything. And that, again, feels very theatrical to me, and feels like what I'm always really interested in my work is to have, like, a bit of it all in there and to feel like a life. So, yeah, hopefully they'll find a piece hopefully the experience will connect them, will take them through, and they'll meet these characters, and then they'll experience a lifetime in an hour and a bit, is sort of the idea. Because I think these people experience a lifetime in a night. And so it's nice for us to kind of tighten that in even more, because we don't have all night. So yeah, it's a play that draws on lots of different types of theatre for its register and for its tone, which I find very, very exciting. There's a lot.
Yeah, well, thanks very much.
Thank you, Anna. They were very skillfully posed questions. I should ask you all these questions, really, because you would have different and equally good ideas.
But we won't do that. We're going to say goodbye.
No problem at all. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Cheers.